All right, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, hey Jake, bro. I just want to start off by asking you, like, can you introduce yourself and tell me a bit about your background before even joining Empower Global Network?
Yeah, man. So obviously, my name is Jacob Penk. I am 28 years old, and I joined Empower Global Network in August of 2023. Now, when I was sort of presented this opportunity, I was working 80 hours a week. So I was doing 40 hours a week as my main job as an electrician, and then 40 hours a week delivering pizzas for Domino's. And to be honest, like coming into this, like money wasn't really a motivation for me because working that much, I wasn't really short of cash. But what I was short of was obviously time. And I've got a girlfriend, I have a mortgage, and I know you probably have both of those things, and they're the most expensive things I've ever had, right? So for me, it was more like I was working so much to provide for her and to pay for the roof over my head, but I wasn't actually left with any time to be able to enjoy spending time with her under the same roof, or even just going out together. So that was really my motivation for joining and coming into EGM.
Yeah. Yeah, what was you struggling with the most before joining EGN?
I think really, it's a good question. So really for me, what I was struggling with the most was more just how could I maximize sort of my talents, And what I mean by talents isn't that I'm better than anyone else. It's just more so like I always pride myself on working hard and at least trying to be the best in whatever I try and do, right? So in terms of what I struggled with was like I would be putting my all into work, yet getting paid the same as everyone else around me. And I think it's quite a negative place to be in, to a degree, because you're putting in so much work and effort. Someone next to you getting paid the same, doing less, and sort of by joining EGN, it gave me a vehicle in which I would get paid based on the effort in which I put in to getting better, to growing or taking things seriously. So that was for me kind of what's helped me overcome the biggest struggle was just getting paid what I deserve based on the effort that I'm putting in.
Yeah. Yeah, so you obviously spoke about seeing other people almost, put in like less effort and get paid more, and that was something you were struggling with. I mean, how did that make you feel?
In terms of making me feel it wasn't something that I necessarily dived or thought too deeply about. It was just more so ever so slightly demeaning working for minimum wage when you're putting in maximum effort. I know
Yeah.
it's like a cliche saying, pay minimum wage, you get paid minimum effort.
Yeah.
Um, but that was the hardest part about working a second job was really having to take like my first job was quite well paid as an electrician, but that second job, getting paid minimum wage, but still putting in maximum effort,
Yeah.
it was a hard thing to sort of come to terms with. And I wanted something that would help me sort of escape having to work that secondary 40 hours.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, had you tried anything else before joining EGN? And if so, what happened with that?
Yeah, so before joining EGN, so as I said, I'm 28. So the last bull run, say 4 or 5 years ago, I was 23, 24, and I made a bit of money on crypto there. And when I say a bit of money, I mean I took loads of screenshots, but I didn't take any profit. So that was really my only experience of making money online was watching some numbers go up on a screen, not understanding what I was doing, losing the same numbers that were on that screen, and from there saying I'm never going online ever again. Here's what I said.
Yeah. Yeah, I relate to that for sure. So I mean, since joining EGN, then what would you say is the biggest difference between EGN and other things you've tried?
Yeah, it's funny. So the biggest difference I would say, obviously in terms of income, yeah, it's great. It's allowed me to make a secondary income online. Like that is the truth. But I think actually what it allowed me to do more than anything was to really discover a home for like the traits that I had that maybe wouldn't necessarily be a good fit in a conventional working sense. Whether that's like trying to uplift people in order to help them within the same environment, like that sense of selflessness, or you know, uh, the sense of bringing people up around you, like in a traditional sense, it doesn't give you any benefit on the outside, apart from obviously like being a good person, but inside the platform that we've got, helping people around you get results, having that kind of abundant mindset, personal development, all those things actually contribute a lot more to your success because I'm a firm believer in what you put out into the universe is what you receive back.
Mm.
And if I've just sort of found like over the last 2 years, helping people around me grow has helped me grow mentally. And because of that mental growth, it's then allowed me, I just think it's put me in a much better place in terms to build a skill set, and just stay resilient really for any hardships that you experience along the way.
Yeah, no, that's really powerful. So what's one thing about EGN that's surprised you?
Was everybody talking openly about their losses? And
No.
I know that sounds like a bit of a cliche thing. No, no, sorry. I know that sounds like a bit of a weird thing to be surprised about,
Yeah.
but obviously on the online space, you hear a lot about I win 100% of the time and I never lose and that I'm the best, I'm the greatest to ever do this. Yeah, actually, one of my first experiences of Empower Global Network in person was coming to an in-person meet in my local area, which is Plymouth, and I was surrounded by people and they were talking about like they had lost trades. And I thought, wow, okay, if they're talking this openly about their losses, then what are their wins? Like, what are the wins going to be like?
Yeah.
Because I think transparency is something that is missing a lot of, and having that complete open transparency about this is why we're so happy to have a loss because they're explaining risk to reward, or they're explaining the vision and painting further on down the line. So the thing that surprised me the most was how open everything and everybody was within Empower Global
Mm.
Network.
Yeah, 100%. And that reminds me of that saying of you grow through what you go through, and that's what I love is people are willing to share what they're going through. So yeah, that 100% agree with that. Can you share a specific moment in EGN that really stood out to you so far?
Yeah, man. So the moment that pretty much stood out the most for me was probably it was around January of 2024, and around this period of time was when I just started, diving deep into the network marketing side of the business. And there was a period of time where people were celebrating hitting ranks left, right, and center. It was always cheering other people on, always celebrating other people's success. And then Max Geddes, the person that was closest to me, he hit Platinum 1000, which was £1,000 a month residual income. I remember sitting there with my friend, like saying to my mate, like, "Wow, look at Max! This is unbelievable. He's such a great guy. He's gonna go and do big things." And then my friend was talking. He was like, "Oh, I wonder if he says the same about you when um when you're gonna hit it." And I said to my friend, I said, it was just kind of unlocked the thought for me, and the thought was like, I'm always cheering other people on. I'm always celebrating other people's success. But when am I going to actually allow myself to to put the feelings of judgment aside and be the person to celebrate my own self by going on and achieving great things? Because
Mm.
Max is a wonderful person. He's an amazing guy in terms of talking to people, but we always have a good bit of rivalry. And I thought like if he can do it, there's no reason why I can't. And I just need to and that's what woke me up and give me a little shake off. And from that kind of turning point, I was able to, kind of ignore the potential judgment of others and really go all in and trying to just be the best version of myself and build the business.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, man. So I mean, just going on to like results and like transformations since being in EGN, what wins have you achieved since joining EGN? And this could be results in trading, it could be mindset, it could be fitness, it could be habits.
Yeah, man. So I think to be honest with you, the biggest in terms of like the biggest result that I've had would be with fitness more than anything. Like Jake Thompson, who is my mentor, one of my best friends, he is, built like a Greek god. He's super athletic, and he convinced me to sort of touch tarmac and start running again after like 4 or 5 years on the sidelines with a knee injury. And over the last 2 years, because of him, because of EJ and him getting me back out on the road, I went and completed my first half marathon in May of this year. And then 2 weeks ago, I did another one. And they were like just two achievements that I thought I would never be able to hit again after getting injured. And he made me sort of realize it was more of a psychological injury than a physical one. And for me, like that was probably the biggest success is learning to trust my body again with fitness.
Mm.
Um, but obviously, in terms of monetary value, I was able to quit a whole second 40-hour week job within the first 6 months of joining EGN. And my trading over the last 2 years, literally, like I shared a screenshot of my first ever trade I won, and it was £2.50. And then last week, I hit a trade for 250. So over the last 2 years, 100x in results. Do you know what I mean? Like it, that little moment of reflection is kind
Yeah.
of mental to think how far we've come.
Yeah. No, that is crazy results, bro. Like, no, it's honestly amazing. So, I mean,
Thank you.
just one last question for you, and we'll wrap this up. If you could go back in time, what would you tell yourself before joining?
Good question. What would I tell myself? As in, would I tell myself before I was given the opportunity to join, or when someone offered me this and it was my thought process of whether to join or not? Because they would be different.
Yeah, I mean, all right, let's rephrase the question. What would you say to someone who's on the fence about joining?
Perfect. Um, Most people, when they're on the fence, they're asking themselves, oh, what if it goes wrong? Like if I do this and it doesn't work out, what happens? My biggest advice would be make two lists. Write down everything that could go wrong on the left list. On the right list, look at everything that could go right. You know, if it goes right, what could you achieve? Read both of those pieces of paper. Whichever one looks the best to you, that's your answer.
Yeah, yeah, that's facts. Couldn't agree more with that, man. No, I appreciate your time, bro. And
Perfect. Appreciate your time too.
yeah, I appreciate that, man.